Hey, welcome to our first tutorial video. Since our cages were pretty dirty, I decided to share our general cleaning routine and the tips and tricks we've learned over time. If you follow our Instagram, you may know that we have 2 cages right now, just until all of our rats can get along well enough to be housed together. We have Fred and Walter's cage, which was our starter cage, and then we also have our double critter nation where Moon, Louie, Patch, and Finn live. I'll show you how I clean Fred and Walter's cage first. Step 1 is to remove all bedding, blanket scraps, toys, hides, igloos, and anything else removable. We're transitioning out of using paper bedding right now and instead using pet blankets just because it's much more tidy and cost effective. We did end up using the last of the bedding just for litter, so that's why the cages look extra messy right now. Here I'm just emptying out whatever I can from the base of the cage. Step 2 is to vacuum any remaining debris you can from the cage. If you don't have a vacuum like we didn't until recently, then throw on some gloves and pick up what you can with a damp paper towel. Step 3 is the cleaning step, where you'll wash everything you just removed from the cage. I always start with my laundry first so it can be washing while I do other things. Generally, you should stick to unscented products for your rats, but a spritz of OxiClean will take out urine odor if the cage laundry is extra smelly. Just make sure you give whatever you sprayed an extra rinse. Once your laundry is done, it's time to wash the cage. We found that the quickest and easiest way to get everything clean with minimal mess was to throw the entire cage in the bathtub. I'm using some Vim cleaner here since the cage was pretty gross this time. But if you're ever using a stronger cleaner like this one, make sure you give the cage an extra rinse and thorough wipe down. We rinse ours with the shower and wipe it down afterwards with hot water and vinegar. Step 4 is the final and most satisfying part, which is to put the cage back together. Here I'm just putting in the floorboard and carpet, which is just some press board that we had cut to fit, and a pet blanket from the dollar store. Then it's time to refurnish, put in some fresh litter, some toys, and then just put the clean cage top back on. I'm just adding in some bedding scraps and the finishing touches, and then your cage is done. And now it's on to our double critter nation. The process is basically the same for this cage, just slightly altered because of the size. So once again, we have step 1, which is to remove all the bedding, toys, and whatever else you can take out. The vacuum comes in handy once again for step 2, which is to remove all the debris that you can. Then we move down to the bottom, where we basically repeat the same process. I did kind of struggle with the hammock on the left side, so I took it off screen, as well as the ramp cover, the floorboards, and the blankets. Step 3 is of course to clean everything from the cage. So at this point I have my laundry in the washer and the cage furniture soaking in the bath, giving me time to give the whole cage a wipe down. I'm using my own cleaning mixture for this cage just because it's a lot more difficult to give it a thorough enough rinse. I use some hot water, vinegar, and the tiniest bit of dish soap, mostly to combat the smell of vinegar. I then do a wipe down afterwards with just a damp cloth, and then I let it air dry. Finally on to step 4, and here I'm just putting in their flooring, which is the same as Fred and Walter's. Then their little furniture, some fresh litter. Some pillows and blankies. Then I do the same thing on the bottom half. This hammock I actually put on backwards and fixed off screen later. Then here I just have some zip ties, which we use to keep the ramp tied to the baskets to form our little bridge. Then throwing in their toys, food bowl, and blanket tunnel. This was a last minute new addition. It's a bendable rope perch, but it works awesome in rat cages as well since they love to climb. Then you just add your rats and you're completely done.